welcome to Wind Rider Studios. I'm Craig Detweiler, and this is The W. We're delighted to have award-winning filmmaker Ben Proudfoot on The W to talk about his creative process and how he makes movie magic. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Ben, how did you find Milt, and when did you know that he had such a dynamic story to tell?
So I met Milton at about 11 o'clock at night. It was a January night in Copenhagen, Denmark. And whenever we find ourselves in interesting places like Copenhagen, we try to make a film, an original film for ourselves while we're there. And I had my heart set on making a love letter to Copenhagen. And I met a gentleman who said, you have to speak to this chef. He's an American chef working in Copenhagen, but he's an amazing guy. You got to meet him. So I had him earmarked for my love letter to Copenhagen. But when I met Milton in his under construction bakery at 11 o'clock at night, it was freezing cold. And he started telling, he's a really thin guy for a pastry chef, very thin. And he was telling me about his origins of Kansas City and that his father was this great jazz musician and that he had come from Kansas City and gone to the French Laundry with Thomas Keller and Per Se, and then finally Noma when it was the best restaurant in the world. I just said, okay, forget love letter to Copenhagen. We're making a film about Milton.
So Ben, you have some fascinating training and background that I think influences your filmmaking, your storytelling. As a younger man, what was it that you did, and how has that trained you?
Yeah, so I was, as a teenager, I was a magician, sleight of hand magician. So anything with cards, coins, I loved. I competed for the Canadian Championship and I won the International Championship when I was 17. And it really trains your brain. It's a great hobby, and it was really more than a hobby for me as a teenager. I spent so much time practicing because in magic, the first thing you do is you select the effect that you want on the audience. And it's a great way to think because if you only attach yourself to the outcome and not any of the means of getting there, it's a fantastic mode of lateral thinking. Because rather than trying to do step by step, you just keep your eye on that thing and you can move anywhere. You can go 10 miles that way and then go around, right? And so in running a company or leading or whatever it is that you've got to do, especially in times like these when things are uncertain, you have to be agile. And I think what agile really means is not moving quickly. It's letting go quickly. And so as a magician, that's how we were trained. Think of the end outcome. What is the effect? And then work backwards from there. Anything is possible as long as you arrive at that point. And that has served me very well in life and business.
So That's My Jazz is this beautiful kind of senior, junior story about fathers and sons. What does it mean to you personally? How do you relate to this story?
I think in life we all, not all of us, but many of us experience this sort of sunrise, sunset moment that happens where your parents are retiring or they're just getting older and suddenly they have more time. And usually that coincides with you getting a career and you getting married and you having kids and you having no time. And there's this real tragedy, I think, to that because suddenly your parents have time to pay attention to you, to give you the time and energy and dedication that they didn't have for you as a little kid. Now they've got the time, but you don't have it for them. I often felt that just as I was traipsing off to Los Angeles to pursue my career in filmmaking, my dad was having more time. And you miss something there, I think, when you don't have that overlap where you're both adults. And you can sort of see eye to eye. And so to me, that was something that was it held a place in my heart. And that's why I needed to make the film.
So you're actually connecting with us. You're in Canada right now. What is your experience with coronavirus and this season of separation and isolation? What's that been like for you?
I've had it easy. I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is where I was born. I don't live here, but I happened to be here, visiting my parents. And my wife is here, and we've got plenty of room and space, so I've had it easy. I think what's been interesting is managing a company of 25 people who are mostly in Los Angeles. As the CEO of the company, people are looking to leadership, right? People are looking to leadership for guidance, what's going to happen next, answers to sometimes unanswerable questions. When will this end? Anybody's a good leader when there's lots of money and everything's going well. These are testing and trying times. And this is the moment to step up. So that's been a lot of my focus, is figuring out how to be a good leader to the people that are trusting our company.
Ben, it's kind of a very fraught political season, and I think it's easy to engage in, a blame game or to be suspicious of others. But I love your willingness to interact, even if you maybe don't necessarily share my faith. Many of the people listening to this come from a Christian background. How important do you think it is in building bridges through things like media and conversation?
Oh, it's the most important thing we can do. And I think filmmaking, music, art are all forms of conversations that allow us to see each other as human beings. And so I'm honored to be involved with these conversations at Windrider, and I think Windrider is a pioneer, and I really respect what Windrider is doing in creating conversations, not just amongst Christians, but like the one we're having between someone who is a real believer and someone who is not. And we could sit here, Craig, I'm sure, and talk for hours and just feel like our hearts are beating as one. And yet, on paper, our core beliefs may be very different. And so if we're not having those conversations, we're getting further and further from each other.
I couldn't agree more, Ben. I thank you for your, I would call it deeply humane filmmaking, the dignity that you bring to your subjects. We're honored to present That's My Jazz, and we look forward to more conversations like this in the future.
Thank you very much, Craig. It's been an honor.